cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 2243. 2243. It's Mike Matthews, and the show is called Mike's Daily Podcast. You might be asking yourself, Mike, what are you doing? You're doing a show, and you waited 2 days to do it. It's not exactly daily. Why did you blew it? You should have done this podcast on the other days. What was the last time I did this? Was episode. Oh, it doesn't show the dates on my Mike's Daily Podcast on my website. I have to. Oh, May 17th. Okay, yeah. So that was a couple Mike's days ago. Daily Monday Podcast. Tuesday, Wednesday got a little crazy. Yeah. And then today. Oh, big news today. Well, you know, there are stray cats everywhere. There are feral cats everywhere. And here in the Bay Area, there's all kinds of things that can threaten their lives. There are coyotes. There are cars. Maybe they'll eat something bad that will poison them. All kinds of bad things. Well, we responded to somebody put a laminated sign on a local telephone pole saying, have you seen this cat? Or no, wait, we found this cat. Do you know who this cat is? And there had been a stray cat named Orson. I told you about Orson Welles. He hasn't been by in over 2 weeks, so we don't know what's going on with Orson. He could be no longer with us on a purely existential plane, or he could be gone as in, like, maybe the people that own him didn't want him going outside anymore, or he's dead. So the thing is, we see this picture of this cat and it looks like Orson. So my lovely lady friend goes down to the pet, the shelter, SPCA, I think it was, and takes a look at the cat and sees that the cat is not Orson.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Oh, by the way, this all has to do with nextdoor.com. In the way that, well, have you been to nextdoor.com? The podcast picture is not nextdoor.com. I just want you to know. But nextdoor.com is this social media thing. That's a whole... it's an interesting place, Nextdoor. You get people complaining about crazy things, people that are paranoid, people like, oh, there's an odd-looking person down the street. Who is... But they look. Oh, Basil. Yes, I would sometimes read stories about dogs, like the late great Basil the Boxer, a missing dog, that kind of thing. So I got a little distracted, everybody. I apologize. Where am I? Okay, so Nextdoor, the app. It's an app. It's a website. A hyper-local social networking service for neighborhoods is what it was. And it was actually founded here in the Bay Area back in 2008. And they typically have always had this green sort of color about their website. It's a different green than when I first signed on. So I signed on, I think probably 2012. And I have not been on it since. And then we see this sign stapled into the telephone pole, and we're reading it, and it says more info about this cat at nextdoor.com. So I go, well, I have an account, I'll log in. I log in, and yes, there's a picture of the cat. Doesn't quite look like Orson, but my lovely lady friend starts typing and starts taking over my profile. She doesn't want to start her own Nextdoor profile, so I'm now being possessed by my lovely lady friend who's typing and saying, oh, we think we know this cat. Oh, if you need to rehome the cat, let us know. And I wait. I don't think I want a cat right now. And she goes, oh, but this is a feral cat, and it all works differently, and here's how it works. And the podcast picture's not of a feral cat. And I'll tell you what it is in a moment. But what it entailed was that we would need to have some kind of carrier device that would then have the cat. And oh shoot, I'm getting a call. This is great. I'm trying to tell this story and I get interrupted by a call. This is totally professional. I hate this.
Later that day.
Actually, I mean unprofessional. And yes, some time has gone by since I was recording. And I heard an interesting story that kind of trumped the story I was telling, where someone was telling me about a van that got its catalytic converter stolen. This, after a couple of years back, it was put up on blocks and the tires were stolen. So, why would you take a catalytic converter? To replace it would cost something like $1,500, and they're like this van is so old. By the way, anyone who drives a white van in the Bay Area is sure to be the worst driver you have ever seen. Will stop in the middle of the road. But Mike, they work for Amazon. They can drive any way they like. Well, so to sum up about the cat, yes, we are now basically sheltering a feral cat in coordination with the SPCA, basically, and saying, hey, this cat needs to be reacquainted with the environment. I don't know where it's going to go from here, honestly. But my lovely lady friend she's manning that project. Sorry, manning was the only word that popped into my head, maybe because I'm a man and I have preferential word choice that goes on in my head. So I went, what is that, like chauvinistic to say manning? I don't know. That she's at the helm. She's helming the project. Helmut Kohl. He was a prime minister of Germany. I remember that. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And I will tell you now, the podcast picture is not from Podcastro Valley, but Podcastro Valley Tun, and a beautiful sunset that I saw recently there. I have read the instructions manual that came with a product that I purchased from Amazon. And it was obviously written by someone who does not use English as a first language. And oh my, since I last read this, my eyes have gotten even worse. That's not good. So basically what this does is it is a warmer for your coffee. And the warmer is connected to your computer through the USB port. So that's how it's getting its power. You don't actually plug it into the wall. It would probably work better if it did. Doesn't work all that well. I kind of use it. I'll drink a nice warm beverage in the morning. Maybe in the late afternoon, have some tea. In the morning, of course, it's coffee. Because tea in the morning, oh, gosh, that's boring. But it's nice in the afternoon. Maybe that's why the British people like it. Those British people, they like it late in the day, 4 o'clock or so. That's their 4:20, is enjoying some wonderful tea, maybe with some honey. Today is Bee Day. It's World Bee Day. Did you hear about that? So let me try and read these instructions that came with this Amazon product, which I can barely read. Here we go. So they can barely write in English. I can barely read it. This is going to be great. Get ready to turn on your recorders for this, to record this off the radio. Oh, wait a minute. It was recorded to begin with. It's a podcast, stupid. Sorry. Mike's Daily Podcast. Here we go. Drinking water is too cold or too hot in daily life. To keep our body health, we need to drink proper water temperature water. I'm serious. That's how they wrote it. Proper water temperature water. The suitable temperature for drinking is 52 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. Orientation locker keeps warm and supplies suitable temperature. There is no locker involved with any of this. None of this involves a locker. Why the word locker was put into these directions makes no sense to me whatsoever. Oh my gosh, I just realized why the podcast that I put on YouTube months ago was because of these directions. I did not figure that out to this exact moment. Somehow, what I said was transcribed into, was transcribed and then posted. Some algorithm posted it somewhere, and someone read it and went, oh my gosh, he's trying to read these weird directions that came off of Amazon for this device. And then it got passed around, possibly on a part of the globe that's not anywhere near me, possibly on the other side of the Pacific somewhere, who knows? That's why. Now I get it. Because I remember I called that podcast Locker, because I couldn't figure out why you would say orientation locker. It all makes sense to me now. Even though I can't read this now. Shoot. So, orientation locker keeps warm and supplies suitable temperature water any time. It heats water by a low-energy thermostatic control system. Power on and off is controls by orientation locker. And I am reading that verbatim, even despite my crappy eyesight. Wow. Number 2, using. Check. I think that's a colon. Yeah, check, colon. Put it on a flat surface. Power on. Press base by your hand to check power on and off. Power indicator shows power and working status. They like the word power there. Keep warm. Cup should be cleaned before heating and fill water. Put a cup in the circle position of panel. The gravity switch is switched on and indicator lights up. It starts to keep warm status. Turn off. Colon. Take the cup away. The gravity switch turns off the power. That's actually a nice little feature. The product stops heating. Letter D. Remarks. I don't know why. I don't know. I'll just read this and then I'm done. If the cup is filled with hot water, the water temperature will go down 52 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius slowly. If the cup is filled with cold water, it heats 52 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. The water temperature is related to the indoor temperature and whether the lid is covered. Wow. Wow. That's Amazon. This product, this company. What is this company? I don't know. The company that... I can tell you the product name is Heating Cup Mat. But it's like when you're looking for something along these lines, this is one of the first people that pop up. So that's why this gets purchased a lot. And it's a wonderful price point. I will have to read that again at some point in the future. Maybe I'll get to some of the other bizarre instructions it gives you. But it is World Bee Day today. Honey is so good for you. 5 surprising things about bees. By the way, we just watched a Midsummer Murders episode that involved bees. And there was quite a large body count. Oh, the yoga instructor did it. Oops. Yeah, his last name was Moon. The worst actor I have ever seen. This guy overacts, and this is a brand new episode. I think it was made within the past 3 years. I mean, come on. The British are supposed to be known, back to the British, by how good they can act. We all wish we could act as good as even the people that are on soap operas act wonderfully. I wish I could speak like a British person, but I can't because I have stupid mic mouth. But this episode was full. Well, the villain was a horrible actor. I don't know who he was. He kind of reminded me, and I met Zach Levi years ago, of Zach Levi, the guy who played Shazam, probably what he's most well known for. He actually went to high school with my ex-wife. And years ago when I was dating she wasn't even married to me, so before she was my ex-wife. But yes, before all of that, but way, way back. And I'm dating her, and I went to a party at her friend's house, and I met Zach Levi, and he actually knew who I was. I had no idea who he was, but he knew who I was because he had heard my radio show, the Santa Fe Cafe. He goes, "Oh, you're that guy that does all those voices on the radio. That's so cool." And he was really nice and kind. And then he became a huge star. And I don't know if you've had this experience where you've known someone who has become very, very popular and a celebrity. But it's weird because you see them all the time and you're like, well, and then you almost forget that you knew them way back. And then you tell people, well, I knew him when, and they're kind of like, yeah, who cares? No one cares. Why did I just tell that story on the podcast? But no, so here's what leaves a bad taste in my mouth about Zach Levi. I don't know why the bad phrasing with that phrasing. It's this. This is why Zach Levi, this is weird. Years later, I see him walk by. He's gotten popular. He's all into motorcycles, and he's in Ventura. He grew up there, and I waved hi to him, and he kind of ignored me. That put me off. That made me not like Zach Levi as much anymore. But this actor in England, even though I'm sure Zach Levi is still a great guy, very, very down. I heard from my ex-wife he did meet him again. She did meet him again later, and he remembered her, and it was very nice and cordial, and it was like he had never changed. So you never know with celebrities. Back to the guy that's like Zach Levi, but he's in England and he's a terrible actor, and I really don't know. He just, wow, overacting school. And maybe I went to over-explaining school. At any rate, it is World Bee Day, and bees are crucial to growing many of our favorite and healthiest foods. There's probably a bee right outside here at Cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth. What they do is they move pollen from plant to plant. Now, pollinating is crucial in this world. Absolutely crucial. Pollinating more than 100 fruits and vegetables, including strawberries, potatoes, and apples. Am I overemphasizing? Unfortunately, many bee species are under threat as a result of changes in land use, pesticides, intensive agriculture, and climate change, but there are steps you can take to help them thrive. Here are 5 surprising things you might not know about nature's hardest working pollinators. They do the waggle dance. They communicate and make decisions by dancing. Yes, they should be dancing. Yeah. You and me and the labor of love. It's my little tribute to Frente, the early to mid 90s band with the British, I think it was a British lead singer, and just the guitar. And then they did that cover of Every Time I See You Falling, I Get Down on My Knees and Pray. Bees can use tools. Yes, honeybees in Vietnam and other parts of Asia are threatened by a predatory species of giant hornets that attack bee colonies, killing the adults, defending the nest, and preying on the young bees. In particular, the voracious hornet species Vespasoror is capable of obliterating the hive within hours. To ward off such attacks, the bees have been observed collecting fresh animal droppings and smearing it around the entrance to the hive. The researchers who published their findings last year call it fecal spotting. They believe it repels the predatory hornets, which are similar to murder hornets, from the nest by reducing time hornets spend attempting to breach the nest. And apparently speaking of droppings of animals, bee poop nearly caused a Cold War confrontation. In the 1980s yellow rain, tiny splotches of yellow found on jungle foliage in Laos and Cambodia were thought to be the residue of chemical weapons. Refugees said that the yellow rain caused illness and death, and allegations prompted the United States to accuse what was then the Soviet Union and its allies of chemical warfare. Bee experts later found that the yellow dots were excretions by massive swarms of wild honeybees. Bumblebees get hangry. Yes, plants produce dazzling flowers laden with nectar to attract pollinators, but what's an impatient, hungry bumblebee to do when those flowers haven't bloomed? When pollen is scarce, bumblebees damaged tomato and mustard plant leaves in a unique way that resulted in the plant flowering up to 30 days earlier than unnibbled plants, scientists in Switzerland and France found. For bees, the pollen is a protein source they need to raise their young. Humans have been exploiting honeybees for thousands of years. A cave painting in Spain, thought to be 8,000 years old, depicts a human gathering honey from a ladder. Traces of beeswax on pottery also suggest that early farmers kept bees 9,000 years ago. Honey has also been found in ancient Egyptian tombs. There you go, 5 things, or maybe more, about honey. Of course, it's good for you. I mean bees. And stuff you didn't know about bees. Okay, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Look who's here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what. What? Disgruntled Fiddle Player and Benita? Yeah, you know, bees are great. And I like them, but honestly, they are very Very good. What else? Let's see. Oh, look who's pouring us some root beer. It's the Brewmaster. Oh, Mike, I make delicious root beer. Has to run the Excellent. Guys, I got to wrap up the show. 22 minutes is too long for this dang podcast. Next show is going to be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley chime in about bees, about honey. I didn't even go into how good honey is for you. I mean, you really, it's so important. There's this type of honey. My lovely lady friend got it, and whenever I've had I feel like I have a sore throat, I take some of this honey. You're supposed to just take a tiny bit with a little toothpick, and this honey is so strong or something, it actually always makes me feel better. I don't know what it is, and I don't think there are any drugs involved. I think it's just a honey that she got from Lake Shasta. She got it from Mount Shasta, so maybe draw your own conclusions. But there you go. It's an interesting big old world, and we're all just here trying to do the best we can. And maybe we can save an animal. Maybe we can save our throats. Maybe we can save the bees. Who knows? But all I know is that this is the end of the show.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!